Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. So you probably watched my videos in the past. I've covered vintage Vespas, and most of my knowledge on vintage Vespas is pretty much 1960 and newer, which are referred to as the narrow bodies or the small frames. The Vespas prior to around 60, 61, 59, they were referred to as the wide body Vespas or wide frame Vespas. And Faro Bassos, which is this particular model, it has the low headlight, but pretty much the early history of Vespa. Very unique, they're very different than the normal rotary valve Vespa engine that we had from 1959 all the way up till just recently with the PX 150 that was recently discontinued. But the prior models were very unique, and I have to humble myself. I don't know much about them. I've fixed some of them over the years, and I've done some engine restorations over the years, but it's actually been a while. Well, Sticky, who was the editor for Scootering magazine out of England, when I first got my foot in the door with Vespas, I was pretty eager to always get my hands on the latest episode of Scootering magazine to see what it was like in Europe, and specifically England and the scootering scene at the time. But he was the editor and publisher of Scootering magazine. I think he was the owner at one point. I've met him probably, I would say, the late 90s. He came here to San Diego to visit the shop. I wasn't working at the shop at the time, but I remember hanging out with him, and I think he was doing a review of something that's the complete opposite of a Vespa, the Honda Gyro, which is like a three-wheel little funky Honda scooter, 50cc. He was doing a wheelie on it. That's my first memory of Sticky, the publisher of this book. So getting on to the book, Vespa wide frame engines. He just recently published this book, and if you're into these scooters, it's pretty much a must if you have this book. I mean, it has stuff I had no idea about. Everything from the gearing and gearing variations, many of the performance upgrades, which are pretty rare. I do have experience riding a wide frame engine in Germany with the performance motors. Pretty unique experience. How to restore them. They have some very tricky parts to restore, such as the kickstart mechanism is very unique. There's a lot of reproduction parts. I had no idea that even existed in order to restore those kickstart mechanisms. Talks about part supplies and sources and pretty much everything A to Z on, well, I'll say A to Z, on the wide frame engines, specifically the engine. The front end, all that stuff on these scooters is pretty standard Vespa fare, but there's a lot of unique parts, almost, or pretty much, there's no parts that are shared with the more modern shifting Vespa engines with these early motors. And they had so many changes year to year, it's hard to even keep track of the changes. But this is definitely a book if you're own one of these scooters or you're just a Vespa enthusiast. I flipped through and read several of the articles in this book, and like I said, I humbled myself. I learned a bit from it. So if you're looking to buy this book here in North America, we do have it available on the Scooter West web store. I'll see you on the next one. Robot here from Vespa Motorsport.